Excellent. Welcome to TAD Summit Truth in Telecoms. It's been a couple of weeks because of TAD Summit, but we have Wahab online. He's going to be chatting to us around AIT. But Wahab, please introduce yourself.
All right, so I have been working in this A2P industry for about 3 years or so, and primarily as a test engineer. And then I basically went towards consultancy services. So alongside that, I basically tested around 1,000 different applications, web applications, Android applications, Apple applications, iOS, you name the platform, I've done it. And so, a little by little, I gained some of these experiences along the way, and I decided, it's time to actually share about what's actually happening in the industry and how it will actually, in the long term, basically affect each and every player there is.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Excellent. Great. So maybe given all the testing you've been doing across all
Yeah,
these different apps, maybe
yeah,
share some of the insights.
yeah. So mostly it's basically depends upon region and depends upon how these hubs are basically connected to the telecom operators.
Yeah.
If if it's exclusive, it's you are most probably going to see AIT on those networks
Yeah.
because there's no way a company which is exclusive is going to hit those targets and those
Yeah.
numbers to which they got exclusivity.
Yeah.
And if they're preferred, then it's most likely they're not going to do it because there's if there's one preferred partner, there's going to be another preferred partner there as well.
Exactly.
So that model actually works,
Yeah.
but exclusiveness will always, somewhere down the line there will be a way that there is going to be AIT is going to happen.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
don't have a choice. They have to.
Yes, that is true because the numbers they quote actually. I whenever I see those numbers, they're gonna like we are going to double your traffic. I don't doubling your traffic is like where are the users coming from?
Yeah.
It's not like the users are just going to they were born in
But
2021
but
and
but
by
don't you
2024.
think the mobile operators that are taking the upfront payments
Yeah,
are equally to blame? They know what's
they are.
going on.
They are, and most operators do not actually understand that the time between 2020 till 2020, end of 2022, that was basically the time when Corona was at its peak, and so everyone went online, everyone went to home, and they started doing work from home. All right, so we see this traffic rise in those 2 to 3, 2.5 years. It's okay, but expecting that traffic to come after that as well, it's basically ridiculous. What
Yeah.
you are asking for is 750 per month. So where is that 250,000 is going to basically come from?
Why he had to change his business because he didn't want to play in this game. So he
Exactly.
didn't want to go into the gunfight. So he went somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And he has
Okay.
the benefit of having big enterprise. I mean, I heard he just won a contract, 30 million a year. He's not going to be too happy if he's listening here. I know, Biz, you won a big contract from Salesforce on a $30 million a year deal. So he's crushing it. But
Yeah.
he's out.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well,
He's
no,
out.
he's
He
acting
walked out the
on
back door.
behalf of
He's not
his
in the game.
customers. He's
Huh?
mm,
well, acting on behalf of his customers. He's taking pricing down to cost. Okay. And
He
he's
changed
just
his whole business, but he had the money to do it. He changed his entire company, his entire business, selling it at cost
yes,
and making money on the retail. So he kind
yes.
of like a new age Twilio, but way better and
New
way
age
more
CRM because
flexible.
his focus is the app. It's the CRM.
You're taking business from Salesforce, you're crushing it.
Oh yeah,
You're talking about
absolutely.
$200 billion companies, not
Exactly.
$2 billion companies like Cinch or these other companies. A whole different ballgame.
Yep,
Um,
exactly.
so hat off to you, Viz, even though you're ducking us.
He'll come back when the timing's right.
mm,
Yeah, when he gets annoyed.
mm,
So, I one of the aspects that Daniel Gill brought up is, as when you're generating AIT, you see real traffic as well. So you
yeah.
see the OTPs, and you can on the dark web sell those real OTPs. That includes the phone number, the
Yeah.
app, and all the rest. Do
True.
you see that rising at the moment? Because that's a big, from a European perspective,
Yeah.
GDPR issue because people's
Yeah.
privacy has been lost.
Yeah. Privacy, like I believe privacy is under concern. Like if you see Europe has a small population
Mhm.
compared to Asia,
Yeah,
and Asia and Africa are basically the markets which are primed for the next rise. And privacy is basically an issue here. uh, people don't generally care about their privacy. Like a
Okay.
person would actually, people, like I will actually give an example. People go to buy their cell phone.
Yeah.
Their email is made by the vendor from who they're buying, and then they keep on using that email for the rest of their life. So even if you say that this guy was actually involved in a crime, you'll say, I just bought that phone.
Yeah.
I never did anything. So privacy is basically not a concern. They just
Understood.
don't,
They're
in the
robbing
majority of the world.
Americans, Alan, and
Yeah.
they're robbing wealthy European countries. They're robbing those people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and privacy is really just a topic for the United States and certain countries in Europe. Otherwise,
True.
there's no privacy.
Yeah.
What privacy in China? Okay. I just saw
Yeah.
Cinch came back from China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder if they came back with a fang fang for themselves.
True.
Um, that's an American joke, fang fang. Alan gets it.
Oh,
Um,
dear.
but look, I mean,
Yeah.
look, Meth still needs their fees. They need the AIT. The industry needs to flourish. People are going to make money.
But it's not
Uh,
flourishing. Yeah,
They're making money. It's not flourishing from
okay.
a public market standpoint. But look at what Deutsche Telekom did.
Yeah.
That's a big deal what they're
Yeah.
doing over there,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah.
They're
It's an
going heads
island of
on. I mean,
honesty.
look at what Mateo from Bix came on
Yeah.
and talk about what they're doing and these different siloed markets. Link is doing some of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. Hey, CM. There's it's just not going to stop. It's not going to go away.
Mm.
I think RCS is just going to be pretty much dominant in the U.S. at some point. I think it's just
Yes.
a natural here. But I think outside of the U.S.,
Oh,
I don't think it's gonna.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't agree with Viz on that. It maybe be one day, maybe years and years away.
Mhm.
But who
You know,
knows?
I blame Google for that because they actually
Okay.
have a beautiful product, which is RCS, but they are unable to actually tell people what it does. And because they cannot actually, market it correctly, they basically, the RCS is basically down the drain. People don't even care if RCS comes on. I have a brother in California, and so I have been trying to send him an RCS message for the past 3 weeks. I was excited, like he got an RCS, I have Android, he has iOS. So I said, maybe it works. And for the past 3 weeks, or every time it says when he will be online, he'll get the message. And I
Yeah,
asked him, did you get
it only
RCS?
works on Verizon right now. And you're right. Well,
Yeah,
you're from the messaging industry, so you're excited
yeah,
about. The average person could care less.
yeah,
RCS, ABC. I mean,
mm,
Google and Microsoft are 100% of the world's search, right? Google is
yeah,
now going to lead. The the self-driving car market. I just saw
yeah,
something today. They're very big. I mean, anything can happen from an antitrust perspective, depending on elections here. So
Yeah.
look, RCS could be toast if certain people get into high authorities and want to pay back for censorship. It's just an open game. I think the bottom line here is to fall back on SMS. AIT is strong.
yeah,
SMS may not have the volumes, but the per dollar amount, 30
yeah,
cents, right? You're talking 30 cents that they're
Yeah.
charging over there.
Yeah.
And then what? They're sending their own AIT in and they're making money on that and they're publicly traded and nobody cares
yeah. That is, it's
except
all
Alan.
about that.
Alan cares
Okay, that is true.
and you care.
Yeah, I do care because at the end of the day, we have to care. Like I'm in
Yes.
this industry. I don't want this industry to just, up and up vanish. It's my bread and butter. I
But
want
it's
to
not
actually
going to
see this.
vanish. It's going to get
Yeah,
stronger. It's
yeah, that
getting
is true.
stronger. You gave me a couple examples on how football teams of people
Yeah,
are doing things to enable making a living. So you
yeah,
just expanded the employee base with
yeah,
entrepreneurs that are out
yeah.
there making a buck. You can't beat
That is
that.
true.
You
Yeah,
cannot beat that bull rush.
because each AIT message actually costs you around $0.007, less than 1 cent.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But there is a way to actually counter it. What Meta does for WhatsApp, they basically let you send your only one message, and then it's a cool down period for about 15 minutes, and then one more message, and then it's a cool down period for about for 48 hours, and then after 2 days you send one more message, and then they basically block you for the next 15 days.
Oh,
If companies start implementing this,
yes.
all of a sudden traffic stabilizes.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I
First I heard of that.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but it makes a lot of sense. You are basically putting a chokehold on being able to do that. When I look internationally, WhatsApp is dominant. Outside of regions like
Yeah.
Japan and the rest, and they have replaced
Yeah.
for P2P. The
Yeah.
pricing now is especially if you're doing conversational stuff, it's very attractive compared to SMS.
True.
So
True.
I just see WhatsApp as on a roll, and
Oh yeah.
it's replacing SMS in a lot of countries because the pricing is very attractive for businesses around conversation. Plus, for P2P, you're avoiding all the SMS charges. It's just on
Yeah.
data, and most plans now, it's
Our
a
own data.
data plan. So
Yeah.
I sort of see WhatsApp as especially here in the Americas, whenever I travel to South America or Central America, it's just dominant.
Yeah.
In terms of people, how they use all the services, and because it's so, penetration, it's you just talk to people on WhatsApp. And I used the
Yeah.
example when I was in Costa Rica. You're reading the reviews of the different services, like boat tour operator, and you've got all the reviews of that tour operator. So you've got valid, it's real people have said how good
Mm.
they are. And you can just ping them on WhatsApp
Yeah.
and you're in a conversation. And they love it because it's direct with the customer that's going to be paying them in US dollars. It's not through some, you know, intermediary that works with hotels and
Yeah.
everybody takes their charge. So he's
Yeah.
left with like a tenth of the cash for doing the boat tour. So they love it because of the democratization and the improved margins. So I don't
And,
know. Seeing WhatsApp is powerful
and
for me,
plus,
forcing
it's
honesty.
yeah, and it's secure as well. At the
Yes.
end of
Yeah,
the
and
day,
and,
they
and
can't
nobody's
actually.
more honest than Mark Zuckerberg.
Hey,
It's
look,
fucking joke. What?
no, no, no. We have to be grateful to Meta for open
Yeah,
sourcing AI. So they changed the
that is
rules,
true.
So, I agree. I always say to people, don't use Facebook. It's evil.
Yeah.
But people continue and put data up there that
Yeah.
feed basically all the
That,
frauds.
yeah, that is true.
But Wahid, what other message? So what are you doing right now? So currently you're not at GMS anymore.
Yeah.
What are you currently doing today?
Currently, I was with Dextertel. Like, I work for a third party. I basically consult. So I was working with Dextertel. I worked for them for about a quarter. Right now, I'm in Africa, on the African continent, and I'm basically testing for two other companies as well.
Cool.
So you're out. So
So
obviously you've created a market for yourself
yeah,
on testing for people that want to know what's going on.
yeah. What actually
Those-
goes on into their networks?
Yeah.
yeah. So you've created a business
Yeah,
on showing people what's going on and testing. So even you benefited from AIT.
that is true. At the end of the
Right?
day, it's
Yeah,
like
on the good
it's
way.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's I mean, so think of the phenomenon of the industry. You're talking about all these groups of people going out there and making money on it. You got yourselves, at Daniel Kills. You
yeah,
got all these people. It's just an industry. It's powerful. Not going to
Yeah.
stop.
But the more and more people trying to fight for the side of good, like we had Ivan presented at TED Summit with
Great.
Valley
Yeah.
Data.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll be getting his stuff out soon. Again, doing very similar work to Wahab in helping the the carriers or the aggregators or the enterprise know what the hell's going on with their traffic.
yeah.
And you should. I mean, that is a failing of the SMS industry for 30 plus years in not having basic governance and certification. So we could sort of roll it all back to
What other industry are you going to have the type of people that are running companies that can't even read or write? You've got guys that are running big companies with $100+ billion revenue that A, you wouldn't let watch your kids for 5 minutes,
Mm.
B, are illiterate.
yeah,
And I've met a lot of these people, whatever you want to call them. So they got in through this industry. It's a fluke industry. Even myself, I took Irish Wireless. It was a messaging
yeah,
hub. I didn't know
yeah,
what the hell it was when I took it over, right? I
yeah.
mean, look at Twilio. Twilio's whole business, $80 billion was on generate and spam. The whole business model was setting up a platform to sign up spam. Right?
Yeah.
That's it,
Yep.
like Viz said. So look, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree.
True.
But it is changing. It could change a damn sight faster. But
Look, I'm happy Wahid is making money. I'm happy Yvonne. I'm happy Daniel
Yes.
Giller out there.
Yeah.
It's an industry, and I'll be happy when we move on from it.
That's true. It's true. We have done for this year.
You got like this thing about AIT.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you. Like, you should get a tattoo, AIT forever, on your shoulder.
Oh yeah, it's funny. So, Wahab, anything else you'd like to add?
It's basically like it, just like Daniel said, it's like it is what it is. At the end of the day, as long as there are enterprises, as long as there is SMS, AIT is going to happen, no matter what we do. But all we can do is basically try to bring down the numbers
Yes.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We can't just, up and up, and we can't do it like how the FTC did it. They basically, I was reading today, and the FTC in America, they said no more artificially inflated influencers.
Yes.
And I was like, that is
Yeah,
actually
don't
like,
pay attention to anything we do in America. Nothing here makes sense. Don't even pay attention. There's nothing. We're the crime capital of the world, so all of it comes from here. It's coming here, and our government organizations are so fraught with incompetence that it's insane. But I think we have a big audience, and I think some of the people listening need to understand that you're there.
Yeah.
And build your brand. And
exactly.
Look, a lot of people like Dexatel that want to do the right thing.
Honest.
There are a lot of those. A lot of people care about their consumer. A lot of people are Alan Quayle like that have tremendous ethics. I call Alan, the beacon of truth. His ethical being. A lot of people have that, but there's a lot more that don't. And at the end of the day, so look, hard for me to judge people on, how they feed their family, especially with something like that, unless when people start getting hit by fraud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So how do you?
Yep. No, cool. But this has been really insightful. This educated
It's a
me
great podcast, really.
On so many aspects of AIT and how it's happening really in the field. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Alan.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.